foremost, and he has been to every Cowboys training camp since 2003. Mose, you there?
I am. You got me?
Oh, dude, I got you. I heard you on Cowherd yesterday. Crushed it.
Oh, good. Good. Thank you. It was, that was fun and did that from training camp. And so,
can I tell you what one of the things I really gleaned from that the Cowherd interview?
What's that?
You looked really handsome, man. You really did. You were really put together. I was like, wow, is this Mose looks great.
I think you're saying I'm usually pretty haggard or something, but thank you. I'll take it. I for once didn't have a cap on and tried to clean up, but I appreciate that.
You look sharp. All right, who's looking sharp out of training camp? You were there yesterday. We'll talk about some of the drama, but football first. They had an They had an exhibition or scrimmage with the Rams. Anything jump out at you personnel football wise?
Well, I will say the two the defensive line and the O-line, I mean, they got dominated. And, again, it is a practice. It's a joint practice. You want to see how everybody looks in that kind of setting. And I'll start with the Cowboys offense. They could not run the ball against the Rams. And maybe the Rams, obviously the Cowboys don't have Micah Parsons, but the Rams have Jared Verse. They have a former first-round pick, last name of Fisk, Brandon Fisk. I mean, they were running linebackers through there like you cannot imagine. So I would say, at least on that joint practice, based on that, boy, this offense has a long way to go. And that's a little scary because I can't really put it too much on the running backs. Guys are just getting blown up at the point of attack. And the Cowboys obviously are missing their starting left tackle right now. We'll see when Tyler Guyton comes back, and they get that rookie in there at guard, in Tyler Booker, but it was a real struggle for the Cowboys to try to move the ball on the Rams. And then, I would just say, it's always funny. You go to one of those practices and you're like, wait a second. Oh, Devontae Adams. That's right. He plays for the Rams. The guy's been with several places now. And goodness gracious, I thought Devontae Adams was kind of past his prime and he was making plays all over the time. Puka Nacua was making huge plays. So I would say it was a good learning experience for the Cowboys, but it did not go beautifully.
Well, you've learned a lot about the Cowboys, obviously, in your coverage of the team for years, your relationship with folks in the front office, Jerry Jones included. This standoff we're engaged in right now with Micah Parsons. You did a great job illustrating how Micah yesterday was out of practice. He didn't have the team gear on, right? So they got him to put the team-issued gear on. He still has not spoken, or Jerry Jones still hasn't spoken to his representatives or him as of late yesterday. This thing, and you and Werder do a great job with this. Obviously, the Doomsday podcasts are up. You guys are crushing it out there. Okay, so this comes to an end September 1st, let's say. Does this, Matt, in all your years covering the circus around the team, does it impact the way the guys play on the field? Does this chip away at the Cowboys' ultimate goal of winning a championship?
I don't know how it can't. Just listening to Brian Schottenheimer talk about what they're missing by not having Micah out there and not having him screaming off the edge and working against some of these young tackles and guards. If they go against somebody of that caliber on a daily basis, then maybe Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk and some of these guys that arrived with the Rams wouldn't have been so dominant. I'm telling you, Jared Verse was blowing up every single play. It was really, I think, kind of dispiriting for the Cowboys. So yeah, I think it certainly can impact on the field. Now, if he signs, I said yesterday how I thought this thing would go. I do think he still signs, right around the time that Eagles-Cowboys game is. I believe that's September 4th. So, by September 1st, he's going to sign. It'll have all kinds of drama. And there you go. And he's going to be out there. Will he be full tilt? No, how can he? Like, you can stand next to Eberflus in practice. You could take all the great mental reps. Apparently, he's been good in meetings, and I do think Schottenheimer has handled this really well. But it's not. This is not. It's a tricky deal because Schottenheimer has smartly kind of sided with a player here, and the players, the teammates, are still right there with Micah. And then that's okay. Like, Jerry doesn't mind that. Jerry does love the players, and he likes being friends with some of them and all that, and he has over the years. But he's fine with that. He can live with that. But I think it absolutely hurts the on-field product for this to be happening, for him not to be out there. And right now, you got two major sort of attitude issues. You got Trayvon Diggs is mad at the Cowboys, and he's just kind of pouting around, doing some rehab stuff. I think they believe he would have been further along and would have been out there with the Cowboys had he done more of his rehab with them instead of doing it off-site. And so, I mean, those are two of your best players on defense. Arguably, your best two defensive players are not practicing, not happy, and just kind of, in Mopeville, just kind of moping around out there.
Yeah, with Diggs, I mean, it's a money thing, right? Like, they took almost $500,000 from him, like, rightfully so, I guess. That was what he had coming, right, for not showing up to those off-season workouts or rehab.
Yeah, for sure.
But you had a great point. You interviewed George Pickens, an exclusive. That's on the Doomsday Pod. You guys got to check that out on the Rogue Media Network. But you've done a wonderful job illustrating, I think, what the average player thinks about being a Cowboy, right? Because George Pickens is in Cowboy camp, and he is thrilled to be there. And I think that is a glowing example as to why Micah Parsons would never leave, and the Cowboys can almost call his quote-unquote bluff, right? Because being a Cowboy is a destination for guys in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. That's my opinion. You're in that 4 o'clock window, right? Every Sunday afternoon, or you're playing on NBC or Monday Night Football. It's a special thing to be a Cowboy. And George Pickens seems to be embracing that. How do you feel like that's impacting the offensive side of the ball right now and the team?
Well, I mean, Pickens seems to be in a really good place. And I was having flashbacks as I interviewed him to him, catching passes against the Bears in the Sugar Bowl. I was reminded of him rising above some of the defensive backs there and making plays. I guess that would have been I don't know which one that was. Was that the first? The 2019. Yeah, Matt Rule was on. He was headed to the NFL right as that game ended, I believe. But
he had one foot in Charlotte at the time, I think.
That's right. Yeah. But no, I think Pickens is. You can just feel it, and sometimes guys sort of need a get out of jail free card, and the Cowboys got him for they didn't have to give up huge draft capital, I think a third and a future 5. And I mean, you just watch him operate and you can make the argument that this is the best duo they've had in a long, long time. I mean, Amari and CD were pretty good together, but that was a younger version of CD before he had truly emerged as kind of the number one guy. And now CD's that guy, feels very comfortable being in the spotlight. And you're watching someone who hasn't been, we're so we put Dak Prescott under the microscope at all times. And I think that's appropriate. But the flip side to that is, look at the situation Pickens has been playing with in Pittsburgh, because you got Pickett, you had Russell Wilson, you got Fields. There just has not been really any stability there, and he still put up really, really good numbers. So he is just in heaven at the thought of playing with a quarterback who not only is better than those guys, but throws the best routes that Dak throws are the ones Pickens runs. And that's those vertical routes, the goes, and and that's pretty nice of a quarterback to be able just to throw it up and know his guy. There's a great chance he's going to go up and make a play on it. So, I mean, we'll see once they get into the season. But I would say that's been one of the more positive storylines to come out of this camp.
A couple more for you because I know you got a busy day. You're going to talk to Stephen Jones and Brian Schottenheimer today. For the Rogue Media Network and the Doomsday Podcast. You are very busy out there. You mentioned the wide receiver group. How important is that in your experience covering the Cowboys to have two good wide receivers opening the door for that third one to find room and operate, whether it's underneath or behind the coverage?
Well, I think it's huge, and it'll be. I think those guys have been so good that it's taken a little pressure off whoever's going to be the third receiver. Jonathan Mingo's actually had a pretty good camp, but Jalen Tolbert made a great catch. The other day, my first practice I saw, made a contested catch down the sideline, just a beautiful deep ball adjustment that he made. And so I think that's I think Tolbert will settle in, then Mingo, and then even Jalen Brooks made a gorgeous catch. Went up and plucked the ball over the top of McQuamu the other day. I think it has a trickle-down effect. And, I mean, this is the best situation. Believe me, I've been here when they just have a horrible situation. Like you can look at the receivers and go, I have no clue who is the number one receiver, the number two receiver. They've had seasons like that, and that's what led them to have to make that Amari Cooper trade. They were so bad early that season that they had to trade a first-round pick to go get Amari Cooper several years ago. That was like 2000, I don't know, 17, 18, whenever that happened, and it worked. But you don't want to have to do something like that. So, yeah, I think there's a trickle-down effect on the offense, and I think that, with Ferguson tied in, and then the other guy, a real X-factor who I didn't mention, Kavonte Turpin is having an incredible camp. And he catches everything. They're going to use him a ton. Gadget guy, great return guy. So if you can keep him off the streets, keep him out of the Maserati, you got a good chance of getting him through the season.
All right, how about Schottenheimer? Now, I think two things can be true at one time. I think that Schottenheimer is a guy who Jerry finds great comfort in. And you have made great points in the past saying, you cannot underestimate comfort level with Jerry Jones. At the same time, I believe this guy has the bones to be a great NFL head coach. And this opportunity has presented itself through maybe a comfort level of Jerry's or whatever. But I think the pieces are in place for the Cowboys to surprise some people. What are your thoughts on Schottenheimer's first camp? Again, you've seen so many. What are you seeing out of Schottenheimer this preseason? What's the vibe and what are your expectations?
Man, just a guy who is, extremely comfortable, seems to, bring a great deal of energy. He's a guy who has really tapped into his inner Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll had maybe almost as big an impact on him as his own father, Marty Schottenheimer, had. And so, which is weird because he ended up firing him at one point, but they still have a great relationship, actually. And, there's one thing, I don't think I've told you this before. When I did a story, or I was calling around, had an interview with a guy who used to be on staff with Schottenheimer. And when Schottenheimer got fired and was out of the league for a little bit, he wrote letters to all of his former assistant coaches, guys he'd worked with when he was a coordinator and had been on his staff. And he asked for them to give him, I think he even let it be anonymous if they wanted to. I can't remember exactly how he set it up, but he wanted to survey and go, what I did wrong, what I was good at doing, what I was bad at doing, where do I need to grow the most, all that. And I think that kind of says a lot about him, that, too many times we hear people talk about, oh, let's have a growth mindset, and that it kind of gets old, right? Hearing things like that, but then to see a guy actually live it and do it and desperately want to get better, I think that speaks very highly of him. But I will say to the naked eye, the way this team is practicing and responding to this coach, it's a different animal than what we were used to. So with McCarthy, and even before that with Jason Garrett, there's a real energy. The pace is different. The players are really responding. So again, we'll see what happens when the games actually get going. But I would say, other than the Micah stuff just being like an enormous daily distraction, he's managed things really well, and the players seem to be responding to him in a big way. And he's been tremendous with the media, which we always appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. The cowherd move when he turned his visor around was awesome yesterday. All right, so last question for you. You're out in Oxnard. You've done it in San Antonio, but I imagine you really like Southern California. What's your favorite part about getting back out to training camp there, just to kind of kick off a brand new season? Even if it's something related to that area, what's your favorite part about going to training camp in Oxnard?
Oh, man, I stay right next to the ocean, and just going on. I mean, just getting out there, getting a long walk, go down on the pier, and that just inspires me, kind of gets me going a little bit. We got a big Baylor season coming up. Scotty and I and Pete, you'll be a part of it. Faith, we're going to be doing pregame and stuff. And so, it gives me a chance to kind of clear my head a little bit, do that, get out, get prepared, get excited for that. But just, yeah, I mean, I'm a beach guy. I love it. I love both. I mean, I just came from the Florida beach. This beach is a little windier, a little colder to be out. The water's a little colder, but it invigorates me to look out there and see that ocean. So I just love all that. And then we have all our old haunts. I go to Andrea's and get the clam strips. And then last night we tried a new place, Yolanda's Mexican food. I'm such a Tex-Mex guy. Have a hard time accepting other people's version of Mexican food, but pretty good. They make a strong flauta. And so, yeah, it was good to kind of gather around. And I got to say, I'm just so appreciative of Corey and the whole gang and John. I mean, it just, by the way, Zach has just been doing an unbelievable. Yeah. Zach Burke, the Z-Man. I mean, he at one point was assigned to me, and I think it's changed his life, perhaps not for the better, but he's been incredible, just turning stuff around quickly, just a great attitude. And you have to have that with guys like, I'm easier to deal with than Ed. Ed is one of America's great divas, but Z has just hung in there beautifully. So Rogue Media Network and the financial commitment they've made is really impressive. And listen, I've been at places where I basically had to pay my own way, and just because people were cheap. I'm not naming names or naming companies or anything like that. And for the most part, I had places that were great about it, but I'm just saying I've done it the other way, and this is the better way. And Rogue does it first class, so I'm appreciative of that.
No, we're lucky. We're lucky to have you as a part of the family. All right, I lied. One last one, quick one, because I know you got to go. What does Jerry Jones do when he sees Matt Mosley at training camp? Because he knows you're feisty.
Yeah, I just kind of I get a little bit of a smile, like what are you up to? What do I have to, what am I about to endure? But we've not really had much one-on-one time, but occasionally I'll get a little wink. And he has this weird little style where he tries to zero in on the meat, like one person, kind of stare at him. And I'm just like, don't be me today. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And he doesn't really mean anything by it. It's like some kind of strategy. Some media consultant told him a long time ago, and he'll just lock eyes on you and stay on you for about 5 minutes. And it's just weird. Just like, Jerry, I'm not, I don't even do this with my wife. I really don't want to be locking eyes with you. So it's a strange deal, but it's good to see him. And later this morning we'll be with Stephen Jones, and then as you said, Brian Schottenheimer. So it'll be great. But it's fun to be on with you and Scotty. I appreciate you having me.
Great having you. And with your new cleaned up look, I can only imagine Jerry will be looking at you awfully soon, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, Matt Mosley. Appreciate you, dude.
All right, bye, guys.
Matt Mosley, member of the Rogue Media Network, obviously been on the Cowboys beat for a very long time and delivering the goods once again. All right, we'll take a break. We're going to come back and we will get into this is where things get a little hostile around here, the college football playoff predictions. Scotty Swingler. Scotty Swingler is our resident college football expert. Dude, I'm a play-by-play guy. I mean, who has sports and football in his bones, but I'm not the prognosticator that Scotty is. And we're going to come back from this break, and we'll show you exactly why. Pete Souza Show continues.